theyeshiva.net.
Okay, please open it to the same page. Which page was it? It's page 183, Shmois, Parshas Boy, Perik Yud Beis, from Pasuk Tesvav, which is what we were focusing on. Okay, Bruchim Abayim, everybody, welcome. Thank you for joining us. So let's recall the discussion. Abaya came and taught us that the way the Chazal figured out that there is a prohibition to have chametz, that the prohibition to have chametz begins on midday Erev Pesach, which is obviously a novelty because it's a day before Pesach. And the way we learn it is because there are two psukim. One pasuk says 7 days you shouldn't have chametz, right? That's Perik Yud Beis pasuk Yutes. Shivas Yom Asar Lo Yimatzu B'Bateichem, which, as Rashi explains, sounds like 7 days you shouldn't have any chametz. And yet the other pasuk Tesvav, says you should eat matzahs for 7 days, and on the first day you should eliminate chametz. So as Rashi puts it, this means that you do have some chametz on the first day, at least for a little while, for 1 hour, because you're eliminating it on the first day. And hence Abaye says the sages understood that Ach B'Yom HaRishon does not mean the first day of Pesach, because the first day of Pesach your house already has to be chametz free, completely absent of chametz. Lo yimatzei, it should not be there. It must mean a day before Pesach, and that is when you have the obligation to eliminate the chametz and get rid of the chametz. The Gemarah struggled with this interpretation, for obvious reasons. You really have to be compelled to make such a chiddush that B'Yom HaRishon doesn't mean the first day of Yom Tov, but it means the day before Yom Tov. So the Gemarah wanted to suggest that it means the night of Pesach. Ach B'Yom HaRishon, as Rashi again puts it, in the beginning of the first day, when you enter into the first day, meaning the night of the first day of Pesach, that is when you have to eliminate the chametz. It says 7 days, no. I may say days there includes literally days and not nights. In other words, the prohibition begins in the morning of Pesach. 7 days you're not allowed to have, not including the night before. Hence, Ach B'Yom HaRishon Tashbisu teaches me a gewaldige chiddush. And what's the chiddush? The chiddush is that at night I have to eliminate the chametz. Tomorrow morning already I'm not going to have any chametz. I don't wait till the morning. I don't wait till the morning to do tashbisu because I can't have chametz. But the night before, I do bir chametz, and that would work beautifully like a charm, because B'Yom HaRishon means the first day of Yom Tov. Doesn't mean Erev Yom Tov, it means the first day of Yom Tov. But when the first day of Yom Tov? The night of Yom Tov, when the day enters, the beginning of the day, the beginning of the first day of Yom Tov tashbisu. It says don't have chametz. From tomorrow morning, I don't have chametz. Because Yomim means Yomim, yes, Leila's not. The Gemarah refutes this. Why did the Gemarah refute it? Because we have a clear limud that at night already you're not allowed to have chametz. Because we compare, the pasuk compares not having chametz to the prohibition of not eating chametz, which is juxtaposed with the obligation to eat matzah, which the Torah clearly says begins at night. So Lo Yimatzei also begins at night. I'm not allowed to already have chametz at night. So I am compelled to say that B'Yom HaRishon Tashbisu means the day before Erev Pesach. Because once night comes, I am not allowed to have chametz. This idea that Yomim means only day and not night has been refuted. So Shivas Yomim Sa'ar Lo Yimatzei B'Bateichem means what we call days as full days, 24-hour periods, including nighttime and daytime, as it says in Bereshit, Vayihi Erev, Vayihi Voiker, Yom Echad. Yom can include only day, but it can include also the full gamut of the day, meaning nighttime and daytime. So if so, we have to say, Abaya tells us, Ach B'Yom HaRishon must mean the day before Pesach, when you're allowed to have chametz, and you have to eliminate the chametz. If so, maybe do it the night before, the night of 14, when we do b'dikas chametz. He says, no, it says B'Yom HaRishon, on the first day, and I would rather interpret it literally as daytime, not nighttime, because it says by day. So Rishon is Erev Pesach, when B'Yom. Okay, so do it in the morning, And this is where the Gemarah concluded from the word ach. Ach chilek. Ach splits. Ach teaches me to split the day. The day does not have a uniform halacha that encompasses morning till evening, that all goes into the category of tashbisu. That's not the case. Ach chilek, I split the day. Part of Yom HaRishon has the obligation of tashbisu, not all of Yom HaRishon. Which part? As Rashi puts it in his first interpretation, I don't know. I just know that ach means part of Yom HaRishon has the obligation of tashbisu, not all of Yom HaRishon. So what's the best way to maneuver when you have this clear indication in Torah? It could have just said, by Yom HaRishon tashbisu. Then I would say, in the morning. It doesn't say by Yom, it says ach by Yom HaRishon. So I naturally split the day into two. The 12 hours from morning till evening, I split into two, and I say one part of the day has the obligation of tashbisu, the other part of the day does not have the obligation of tashbisu. And the way I would learn it is for the first 6 hours, it's a regular day, like any other day. You can have chametz, you can enjoy your chametz, you can eat your chametz, you can sell your chametz, you could fill yourself up on your chametz and knock yourself out with your cheesecake. And then the second half of the day, this is where you run into an obligation of tashbisu, time to get rid of the chametz, and you're good. That's the conclusion. We learned the second interpretation of Rashi, that ach actually could be substituted with the letters chetz, ches tzadik, which comes from the word chatzi, ach b'yom harishon, at the half point of the day, at the midday, half point, when you reach chatzi, half point, that's when you have tashbisu. We also learned the Meiri's interpretation, we learned the Malbim's interpretation, but all point to the same idea that the ach teaches me to split the day into two, and hence we have the origin, the textual origin for the concept that Erev Pesach, midday, we have a unique obligation, which we don't have by other Yomim Tovim, that a day before Yom Tif, we have to get rid of the chametz, tashbisu, when? Not in the morning, but during midday, which means the end of 6 hours, the beginning of the 7th hour, and that's when tashbisu begins, and 7 days I will not have chametz in my house, because of course if I do tashbisu midday, Erev Pesach, by the time Pesach night comes, your house is of course completely clean and free of chametz, and for 7 days, completely, morning, night, morning, you do not have chametz in your house. Right? Clear summation. Okay, very good. Very important when you learn a Gemarah to be able to summarize, clear the question, the answer, the proof, the refutation, and the conclusion. That's an interesting question. Does tashbisu have to be finished by the 7th hour, or does tashbisu begin by the 7th hour, right? Do we say tashbisu begins then, ach b'yom harishon, at the end of 6 hours, the beginning of the 7th hour? That's when you have the obligation of tashbisu. That's when you actually start. You start doing it. We're talking biblically. Now, we know that the rabbis did it an hour earlier, right? You don't start at 12, you start at 11. But biblically, do you start tashbisu then? In other words, till that point, you really don't have to worry. It begins, or by that time, tashbisu has to be finished, done. So as you can imagine, that's an argument.
If you started, then there's no end.
No, if you started, no, of course, if you know that it's going to take you a full day, then you have to start earlier. But let's say it's going to take you 3 hours, so biblically you could start at 12 and finish at 3. That's good. And if it takes you 5 hours, you could start at 12 and finish at 5. And as long as you're doing tashbisu, you're not over on any mitzvah, because the Torah says tashbisu, and that's what you're doing. You have chametz in your house at 4 p.m. Erev Pesach, according to this view, which is, I think, the view of most halachic authorities, and in Shulchan Aruch Harav and Siman Tov Mem Hey, he elaborates it on this with many other poskim, that as long as you're doing tashbisu throughout the day, you're good. In other words, if I go on vacation 1 o'clock p.m. and I say, forget it, I'll clean my chametz at 3 o'clock, that's a problem, because the Torah gave a time. Tashbisu is ach. 12 p.m. you have to do tashbisu. But if it comes 12 o'clock p.m. and I say, okay, time to prepare for Pesach, let's get rid of the chametz. And I collect the chametz and it takes me 4 hours. I have a big house and there's a lot of chametz. We're talking biblically. Remember, I know rabbinically we do b'dikas chametz the night before and we burn it already 11 o'clock, but we're talking about biblically. Biblically, I could, according to this view, I could do tashbisu a whole day. Of course, I have to make sure that by sunset, the chametz is out, because then you're not allowed to have chametz anymore, right? Bal yirah, bal yimotze. If you still have chametz, you have to get rid of it. But that would be the ideal situation. However, others believe that tashbisu means before the zman. That by time 12 o'clock comes, you have to eliminate the chametz. It would seem that the literal way of looking at it is like you said. Tashbisu is the zman of after chatzos. But this is two opinions in halacha. If it has to be mushbus by 12 o'clock, you already have to be done the job. Or no, like it sounds like, ach b'yom harishon tashbisu means you should be at mashbis. More about this later. But these are two actual opinions. Sag the Gemarah weiter. The Beis Rabbi Yishmael, Daf Hey Amud Aleph, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 lines from the top. The last word of the line after ach, chilek. Ach splits the day. The Beis Rabbi Yishmael Tana, in the yeshiva of Rabbi Yishmael, in the Beis Medrash. The Beis means in the home. Doesn't mean the private home, it means in the Beis Medrash, in the home of learning of Rabbi Yishmael. Tana, they taught. Matzinu arba asar shenikra rishon. We find a precedent that the 14th day of Nisan is called Rishon. Shenemar, the pasuk says, and please take a look in the pasuk again in the Blue Chamashim. It's page 183. It's Shmois Perik Yud Beis pasuk Yud Ches. Right after pasuk Yud Zayin, where it says Shmartem as hamatzis, you should guard the matzahs because I took you out of Egypt. He says Barishon, on the first, Be'arba asar yoim lachodesh, on the 14th day of the month, Ba'erev, in the evening, Toichlu matzahs, you should eat matzahs, Ad yoima echad ve'esrim lachodesh ba'erev, until the 21st day of the month in the evening, which basically means 7 days, because 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, I mean together with 14 it would be 8 days. So when do you eat matzah? You eat matzah on the 14th day at night, which we call the night of the Seder. It's Arba Asar Yom Lachodesh, Ba'erev, at night. This is the clear obligation in the Torah that you have to eat matzah the night of Pesach, and as I said, this obligation is not dependent on anything else, which is why even now, when we don't have a Korban Pesach, we still have a biblical obligation to eat matzah Ba'erev Toichla matzahs. It's one of the only few things we do at the Seder that is a biblical obligation, because the maror that we eat is only rabbinic, because today we don't have to eat maror, because maror, the Torah says to eat together with the lamb chops of the Korban Pesach. We don't got the lamb chops, we don't got the maror. But the matzah is an independent mitzvah. The only other thing, 4 cups, is rabbinic, of course. Reclining is rabbinic. Okay, falling asleep is a minhag. Eating the afikoman is rabbinic. Charoisis is rabbinic. The only other thing that is biblical the night of the Seder is what? Talking to your children. Well, benching, obviously, benching after the bread, after the matzah. Kiddush, I mean, every Shabbos and Yom Tov you have to make Kiddush. But in terms of something unique, Pesach is what? Vayigash levincha. Talking to your child. Speaking to your child, telling the story to your child. Those are the only 2 biblical things. Right? Matzah and Vayigash levincha. Chad gadya, no. Stealing the afikoman? No. What did you say? Maror is rabbinic. Today, because today the Torah says to eat the maror with the matzah and the Korban Pesach. We don't have a Korban Pesach, so the Chachamim said you should still eat maror. But that's not a biblical obligation.
What about the sandwich? That's rabbinic?
Also rabbinic. The sandwich is also rabbinic, yeah. Like we say, Kain Asa Hillel, right? It's a Zeichel Beis HaMikdash. In any case, this is the source, I'm just mentioning it, Be'erev Toichlo Matzahs. But look at the word. The first word is Barishai, on Rishai.
Without a vote, for some reason.
Without a vav, right? That's one of the awkwardness. That's one of the awkward components in the text that we spoke about. Why Moshe Rabbeinu decided some words get a vav, some words don't get a vav. This was his way of capturing, as I said, 40 years of lectures with a vav, without a vav. That's an important one. So Barishon on the first. How do you explain on the first? So Rabbi Shmuel says something lovely, and he says here you have precedent that the 14th day of Nisan is called Barishon on the first, right? Now, it's very, very fascinating. So when it says 2 psukim early, this is pasuk Yud Ches. 3 psukim earlier, Pasuk Tesvav, it said, Ach b'yom harishon, I would have said the first day means the first day of Yom Tov, but 1 second. A few psukim later, Pasuk Yitches, Barishon, on the first, he then translates as the 14th day of Nisan. So that's what Rabbi Shmuel says, Matzinu arba asar shenikra rishon. We see clearly that the 14th day of Nisan could be defined as Rishon, because it says, Barishon barba asar yom lachodesh b'erev toich lamatzas. If so, this gives me a much greater geschmack. It gives me much more leeway to be able to say Ach b'yom harishon doesn't mean the first day of Yom Tov, but I extricate it from the literal interpretation and I say it means Erev Yom Tov. Ach b'yom harishon means on the first day before Yom Tov, prior to Yom Tov, meaning on the 14th day of Nisan, because we have this precedent. And this is a very important addition, because Abaye just proved that you have to say it means the 14th. But it's still problematic because I have to. But it still says B'yom harishon. So that's what Rabbi Shmuel's yeshiva gives us a tremendous addition, that no, it's nish geferlich, because I see clearly that the Torah refers to the 14th day as Rishon. Now, I should say, it's not the literal interpretation, there are other interpretations. For example, if you look at Targum Onkelos, on the right side, this is the most authoritative Aramaic translation of the Chumash, right? This was authored. What does he say? Take a look, the first word, Pasuk Yitches in Targum Onkelos. Benissen, Barba Asra Yoima Leyarcha, Biramsha. In Nisan, on the 14th day of the month, in the evening, Ramsha is evening. So he says Benissen. Where did he get the word Benissen? He's supposed to give me an Aramaic translation. The answer is Rishon. He says Rishon means the first month. So that's why, instead of saying the first month, he just puts in the word Benissen. According to this, it has no bearing on our discussion. We're talking about B'yom harishon on the first day. He says Barishon is talking about the first month. Everyone agrees that Nisan is the first month. That's not a complicated issue. Nisan is the first month. It says clearly, right before this in Parshas Beis, HaChodesh hazeh lachem, Rosh Chodashim, Rishon hu lachem l'chatzei hashana. Nisan is the first month. That's not a chiddush. But Rabbi Shmuel gives a different interpretation. He says the Torah is actually, and there's a good reason for this, because usually it would say B'chodesh harishon, B'chodesh hasheni. For example, take a look in Parshas Yisro. It says B'chodesh hashlishi, B'yom hazeh bo midbar Sinai. You don't just say B'shlishi. You say B'chodesh hashlishi in the third month. Here it doesn't say B'chodesh harishon. It just says Barishon. The word it starts off Barishon. So the Targum Taka says it's like missing a word. It should have said B'chodesh harishon. In other words, he gives us an explanation what Barishon means. But Rabbi Shmuel says, no, there's actually a hint here. And that is, he wants to tell you that the 14th day could be called Rishon, because that justifies Ach b'yom harishon to be called Rishon as well, even though it's not the first day of Yom Tov, it's Erev Yom Tov.
But
He still has to come on to the Hekesh, or you don't need, it's so clear.
Excellent question. Do you still need the Hekesh? Do you still need the contradiction we spoke about? I think it's obvious you do, because take a look at his words. All he says is, Matzinu arba asar shenikra Rishon. We find that Arba Asr is called Rishon, but we certainly find that Tesvav is also called Rishon, right? Nobody's going to say Arba Asr is Rishon and Tesvav is not Rishon. We find that that's also Rishon. It's the first day of Yom Tov, right? For example, take a look at Pasuk Tezayin. Take a look at Pasuk Tezayin, right? Ubayom harishon mikra kodesh, ubayom hashvi mikra kodesh yilachem kol malach aleyasa. What's that? Bayom harishon? It's of course the first day of Yom Tov. Erev Pesach, there's no prohibition to do malacha besides what you could cook. That's only on Yom Tov. So obviously, we find that Yud Dalet could be Rishon. But we certainly find, quote unquote, that Tesvav could be called Rishon. So the fact that Ach b'yom harishon means only Yud Dalet is still a novelty, because literally I would say B'yom harishon means the first day of Yom Tov. So that's what he says. We have a proof that Yom harishon has to mean Yud Dalet. You're going to ask me, but it doesn't make sense. How could Moshe write this in the text, the first day? It's not the first day. It's a day before the first day. So on this, I'm telling you, no, it could be called Rishon. It's not necessary, but it could be. And because I have another proof that compels me in that direction, so therefore, I'm good. So this is a tremendous addition. It's like a Hisafa, an important Hisafa, which justifies the name Rishon for Erev Pesach.
The problem is how the uncles called Rishon that it's Nisan.
No.
But it says clearly Barba Osar Yom LaChodesh. obviously to the months. It means the word Chodesh. If it will be Rishon Chodesh, then it will be put together.
No, what Targum Onkelos means is, it's as though it said, on the first month,
Yeah,
on the 14th day of the month.
of the months. But why do you repeat twice the months?
Well, the Taka doesn't say the first time. He's just interpreting it that way. You're right. Taka doesn't say twice. You're Taka right. Yeah. So it's very, very possible that Rabbi Yishmael is proving it from the fact that it doesn't say B'chodesh, which means the Torah left it ambiguous, which means he could agree with Targum Onkelos as well, but the fact that the Torah writes it this way may be to indicate perhaps also this point. So it's not necessarily a argument about the word. Next, Reb Nachman bar Yitzchak Amar. Reb Nachman bar Yitzchak says something else. Rishon de meikara mashma. When it says the word Rishon, it actually means meikara, before, prior. Rishon doesn't mean the first. Rishon means in the beginning, before whatever process you're starting. And I'll give you a proof. The Amar Kra, the pasuk says in Iyov, Perek Tesvav, Iyov suffered terribly, and his friends came to speak to him and also rebuke him and chastise him. And one of his friends tells him at some point in Iyov Perek Tesvav, he says, Harishain Adam Tivaled? Were you born before Adam? Were you born prior to Adam? First to Adam? This Rishon doesn't mean first as a first day. It means prior. In other words, do you think you are the Homo sapien who precedes Adam Rishon? Do you think that you have the wisdom and the know-how and the expertise beyond any other person? You weren't born before Adam. You're a human being like every other human being. This is how his friend is talking to him. So what does Rishon here mean? Harishon Adam, do you come prior to Adam? Were you born before Adam? So Ach b'yom Rishon then means on the day prior. On the Rishon, not the first day, the day prior to Yom Tov. Rishon meikara mashma. Rishon means prior, means the day before, the introductory day. So says Rashi, Rishon de meikara mashma. Here are the keywords. Belav rumya dekra adodi. Even without the contradiction that Abaye gave us between the two psukim, mashma rishon b'mashmos dekra shehu yom koidem l'chol shiva dekra. Rishon in the Tanakh can have the indication that it means a day before the 7 days that the pasuk speaks about. So it says Shivas Yamim. If you go back to that pasuk Tesvav, Shivas Yamim matzos teichelu. You should eat matzah 7 days. However, by Yom HaRishon, don't say by Yom HaRishon means on the first day of Yom Tov. By Yom HaRishon, on the day before the 7 days. On the day prior to the 7 days. Meikara, before the 7 days. That's when Tashbisu. So Rashi says, he actually doesn't need the contradiction anymore. He doesn't need the contradiction of the psukim. He says even without the contradiction, this is what Rishon means. It says, Harishon Adam Tivalid, were you born before Adam? Rashi continues, Kivan deksiv shivas yamamatzes techelu, ach b'yom harishon, Rishon koidem l'maisa kamar. Means Rishon before this action of eating matzah 7 days, b'yom harishon on the day prior tashbisu. So it's very geschmack. Why doesn't Rashi say this Torah on the previous explanation of the Beis Rabbi Yishmael? It's very clear. Because the Beis Rabbi Yishmael doesn't say that Yom HaRishon has to mean a day before. He says it could mean Yud Halad, but it could also mean Tesvav. So how do you know which one it is? That's why I needed the contradictions of the psukim. But Reb Nachman bar Yitzchak is telling me a new word. Reb Nachman bar Yitzchak is telling me, no, when the Tanakh says Rishon, it means before. Prior, very good. So it says Shiva Sam Matzos Dechelu Ach B'Yom HaRishon. I never had a problem. Ach B'Yom HaRishon means on the day prior to these 7 days. Tashbisu. Of course, that's Erev Pesach. I don't need any contradictions. I don't need Shiva Sam Soy Lo Yemotzei. I don't have to pit Tashbisu against Lo Yemotzei. I'm good. It says B'Yom HaRishon. You decided it means the first day. Where did you get that notion from? Rishon means the day before. Now, of course, you're right away thinking, excuse me, if you read through the Chumash, you'll see Rishon means the first. He found a pasuk where it means also before. But he says, Rishon Meikara Mashma. How could Rabbi Nachman Yitzchak say this? That will be the discussion now. But it's clearly why Rashi here introduces an idea that he didn't say in the previous Lashon. In fact, if you'll see, the language was different. Rabbi Shmuel said, Matzinu Yudalet Shenikra Rishon. We find a Yudalet that's called Rishon. Rabbi Nachman Yitzchak should have said, Matzinu Rishon, the Mashma Meikara. We find a Rishon that can mean before. He doesn't say that. Because if he would say that, then he would need the contradiction of the Psukim to say it here. He just says, Rishon Meikara Mashma. When it says Rishon, it means before. In other words, he's saying this as an authoritative, conclusive interpretation of Rishon. It's not, I could say it means Yudalad. No, I'm saying it only means Yudalad. And that's why I don't need any other support to support the notion that Achbayim Rishon means Yudalad. This is the big chiddush of Reb Nachman Bar Yitzchak, and he doesn't need anymore the limud of Abaya of the contradiction. The Gemarah is now going to challenge this very seriously when you start reading through the Chumash, okay? And I just want you should be able to understand what's coming, because there's going to be a few psukim here. And we have often not been trained in how to take the text of Chumash seriously. As I told you many times, that it's impossible to appreciate Mishnayos or Gemarah without it, because it's all basically, as I explained, deciphering what's behind the text. That's basically what Torah Shabbal Peh is. So if you can open your Chumash now to Parshas Emor. Parshas Emor is the main parsha of the Yomim Tovim. That's where Moshe Rabbeinu communicates the laws and obligations of all of the holidays of the year, beginning from Shabbos, every Shabbos, going to Pesach, Shavuos, Rosh Hashanah, what we call Rosh Hashanah, that's not mentioned in Torah, the name Rosh Hashanah, but what we call Rosh Hashanah, the first of Tishrei, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot. Yeah.
Yes, everybody agrees to that translation of Harishon Adam Tivoli. You are the first man that is born.
No, Harishon Adam means you're born before Adam.
Yeah, but you can translate it as you are the first man.
No, it wouldn't work grammatically.
Why? Harishon Adam Tivoli. You can say it in many languages.
Harishon Adam Tivoled, it wouldn't mean, are you the first man that was born?
The first man born, that it happened to the first man. It happened many times before you. So that's what it doesn't, because everybody agrees that Harishon...
The Mefarshim, they're all explain. Harishon Adam Tivoled means, were you born before, prior to Adam? Do you think that you precede Adam? Yeah. You have your own wisdom that transcends all of humanity. You don't have the regular limitations of a human being. You have a different cheshbon. You were born before Adam. Take a look at Parshas Emor. We're going to look at page, if you have the blue chumash, on page 357. It's Vayikra Perik Chav Gimel. This is Leviticus chapter 23. Again, this is the parsha of the Yomim Tovim. And we're going to look at Sukkos. Perik Chav Gimel, page 357. Okay. Take a look at Pasuk Lamed Gimel, right? Vaydaber Hashem al Moshe Leimer. Daber obnei Yisrael Leimer. B'chamisha asa yom l'chodesh hashvi'i hazeh. On the 15th day of the 7th month, here you can clearly say, 15th day of the 7th month, Chag HaSukkos, Shivas Yamim L'Hashem. Seems like a clear pasuk. B'yom harishon mikra kodesh, kol meleches avodah lo yisasu. The first day of Sukkos, what we call Sukkos, is a holy day, no malacha. Okay, Shivas Yom Takrivu Rishon L'Hashem, 7 days. Now when it says here by Yom Harishon, what does Harishon mean? It means a day before Sukkot. The first day of Sukkot, right? 7 days is Yom Tov. Anybody heard that Erev Sukkot you don't do malacha? Would be nice. But Erev Sukkot, you do a lot of malacha. That's when people are finishing their Sukkot. Okay, by Yom Harishon means the first day. Fine. Next pasuk, Labed Vav. Shivas Yom Takrivu Ishal Hashem, Bayom Hashmini Mikra Kodesh Yelachem. The 8th day, again, what we call Shmini Atzeres. Now take a look at pasuk Lamed Tes. However, on the 15th day of the 7th month, and we have to understand what the ach here is, like what's the ach only, like again, he's trying to diminish something. These are all the textual words that give the text of awkwardness, that are trying to teach us something. And actually from here we learn something very deep, something very important. For example, that this he's talking about a carbon chagigit. It doesn't override Shabbos. You don't do it on Shabbos. You do it another day of Sukkot. But aspechem as tvuasar, it's when you gather the grain, because Sukkot was the time that they would gather the grain from the fields into the silos for the winter. Tachoigu es Chag Hashem Shivas Yamim. Celebrate the holiday of God for 7 days. Bayom Harishon Shabbosin or Bayom Hashmini Shabbosin. On the first day rest, on the 8th day rest. Because the middle days are Chol HaMoed. The first day is Shabbosin, you don't do Malacha. And the last day, Shmini Atzeres. Again, remember, we do 2 days. But remember that originally Sukkot is not 9 days, it's 8 days, right? And the first day is Yom Tov, and the last day is Yom Tov. Shmini Atzeres, the middle days, from the first day Chol HaMoed through Hoshana Rabbah, are not Shabbosin. They're not that level of rest. Fine. What does Bayom HaRishon here mean? Day before Sukkot. Again, Bayom HaRishon means the first day Shabbos. Next pasuk. Ulekachtem lachem bayom harishon. Pasuk mem. You should take for yourself on the first day. Pri-Eitzader, kapes tmorim, anafei tzaves arvei nachal. How do we understand this pasuk? We just said you should celebrate 7 days of Sukkot. The first and 8th day you rest. And on the first day you should take Dalet Minim, the 4 species, the lulav, the esrog, the others. No, which is the first day? Erev Sukkot, you shake a lulav. Who shakes a lulav? Erev Sukkot. Erev Sukkot, you buy your lulav if you didn't get it. It means the first day of Sukkot. And then he finishes, Usmachtem lefnei Hashem alekechem shivas yamim. And rejoice before God for 7 days. And then again, v'chagoysim moisei chag l'Hashem shivas yamim b'shana. Now again, when you read these psukim, it seems like a lot of redundancies. He says 3 times that it's a 7-day holiday. Why does he have to say it 3 times? Okay, b'shana chukasam l'reseichem b'chodesh hashvi'i t'chagoysoy b'sukkos teishru shivas yamim. This is basically the short parsha in Emer that teaches us everything we have to know about Sukkos. From these psukim themselves, it would be hard to understand much, but we have the Torah Shabbal Peh, which explains what these psukim mean. Okay. So let's now retain these psukim, because they're going to become now the focal discussion, refuting apparently Reb Nachman bar Yitzchak. Says the Gemarah, Reb Nachman bar Yitzchak told us, Rishon mei karamash me'ela meyat. If this is true, let me ask you a question. We have a verse in Leviticus, we're jumping from Parshas Boy to Parshas Emor, Ulekachtem lachem bayom harishon. Pri-Eitzader, kapes tmorim, anafei tzaves arvei nachal. On the first day you should take the 4 species. Okay, hachenami rishon de mei karamashma. Are you going to tell me here, when it says, L'kachtem lachem bayom harishon, it means you should take on the day before Sukkot 4 species? Reb Nachman bar Yitzchak holds that when do you shake lulav? Erev Sukkot. Quite an interesting proposition. And it's exactly the same thing. What does it say a pasuk earlier, pasuk lamates? It says, Tachoigu shivas yamim, celebrate 7 days, first day rest, 8-day rest, and then it says, and on the first day, on Yom HaRishon, you should take. What's the Yom HaRishon? On the day prior to Sukkot, just like you're doing here. Eat matzah 7 days, and the day before, tashbisu. So does really Nachman really believe that we take the Dalet Minim on Erev Sukkot? Obviously, it's a rhetorical question, because no Jew shakes a lulav Erev Sukkot. Every Jew, we never heard of a Jew saying, no, you have to shake a lulav and Erev Sukkot, just like you burn the chametz Erev Pesach, you shake your lulav Erev Sukkot. That's unheard of. So basically, when it comes to Pesach, Rishon we decided it's Erev Pesach. When it comes to Sukkot, no one even has such a thought. But if you're serious that Rishon means before, take it all the way. Don't suddenly change it from boy to Parshas Emer. That's the big question. Zog the Gemarah, shiny Hassam, there is different. Why is different? The Ksiv, because right afterwards it says, Usmachtem lefnei Hashem alekechem shivas yamim. You should celebrate before God 7 days. In other words, L'kachtem lachem bayom harishon. Take it on the first day, and then it right away says, and celebrate 7 days. Ma shvi lechag. Just like the 7 days. When you're talking about the 7 days, including the 7th day, what do you mean by the 7th day? The 7th day of the Yom Tov, the 7th day of Sukkot. Because obviously, the 7 days you're talking about are the 7 days that we're talking about in all these psukim. In the previous pasuk and in the psukim around it, which are the 7, he keeps on saying, celebrate Sukkot for 7 days. You're not going to make a new 7 days. You're talking the 7 days of Sukkot. So rejoice before God 7 days. It means the 7 days of Sukkot. So af Rishon, in the same pasuk, when it says the first day, I say, Rishon lechag. Here, first means not before, it means the first of the 7 days. L'kachtem lachem bayom harishon. The first of the 7 days you're talking about in Sukkot. Now you might tell me, no, maybe the 7 days also means 7 days from the 14th of Sukkot, right? 7 days, Shivas Yamim means not 7 days of Yom Tov, 7 days from your Dalet. That's the 7 days. But that's not Pshat. Why? Because on one level, throughout all these Psukim, you keep on telling me the 7 days begin on the 15th of Tishrei. So suddenly in this Pasuk, Shivas Yamim has a new unit. It's not the 7 days from the 15th, it's the 7 days from the 14th. That would be quite extraordinary, novel, and irregular interpretation. What is more than this is, if you say, Bayom Harishon means the day before, you took it out of the unit of 7 days, right? You took it out. You said before the unit of 7 days. Sfasema says this. You took it out of the unit of 7 days because Yom Harishon means the day before, Erev, right? So Shivas Yamim still remains the unit of 7 that begins Tesvav. So when it says Shivas Yamim in that pasuk, it means from Tesvav and on. So he says just like Shivas Yamim means 7 days, and we know what the 7th day means. So the first day also has to mean the first day of Yom Tov. To say in the same pasuk, number 7 is 1. And number 1 means a day before is very unusual, and therefore he says here is different. The what? Mashvi shvi lechag, af rishon lechag. Rishon has to mean rishon lechag. When you read this, though, you have no big problem. Frag the Gemarah hachinami. I don't understand you. The same as in Parshas Boy. Ksiv ach b'yom rishon tashbisu shivas yama matzos techelu. It says 7 days you should eat matzah. What are those 7 days? 7 days means from Tesvav. The Torah clearly says that you start eating matzah the night after your Dalet. So 7 days means from Tesvav. So when it says the first day in that pasuk, what should it mean? The first day of the 7 days. So when it comes to Sukkot, you say, sorry, the first day has to mean the first day of the 7 days, because in the pasuk it says 7 days you should celebrate. On the first day, take a lulav. It means the first. Here, it says exactly the same thing. Eat matzah 7 days. On the first day, tashbisu. So here you could say the first day means not the first day of Yom Tov, means the day Erev Yom Tov. Mehechatesa. If you could do it here, do it there. So the Gemarah says, no. Why? Im Kain. If Bayom Rishon meant the first day of Pesach, nichtav kra Rishon. It should have said Rishon without a hey. Har Rishon lamali. Why does it say Har Rishon? The first. Shma mino lekadamaran. This teaches me the teaching that we explained, that we're talking about not the regular first, but the day prior to first. Just like by Adam, in the pasuk of Eve, it says, Harishon Adam Tivalet. Were you born before Adam? So here also, when it says, Shivas Yama Matzahs Techel, you eat 7 matzahs, and it could say, B'yom Rishon, on the first day, Tashbisu Sayma B'teichem, that would mean the first day of Pesach. But since it says, Ach B'yom, Harishon, with an extra hay that is superfluous, it's like the special Rishon. It's not the first of 7 days, is you're part of a unit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm talking about Harishon, right? Like Harishon Adam Tivolet. Were you born before everything? You're the introduction to everything. So therefore I say it means Erev Pesach. The Gemarah says 1 second. Ihachi hasam nami. By lulav also harishon lamali. It says ulakachtem lachem by yoim harishon. It's like you keep on telling me here's different, but it's not different. Exactly the same thing over there. First you said Shivas Yamim makes it different. Here it also says Shivas Yamim. Then you tell me Harishon makes it different. There it also says Harishon. It could have said exactly the same thing there. It says Shivas Yamim, you should celebrate Sukkah 7 days, right? Ulakachtem lachem b'yom rishon. And on the first day, which in Hebrew it works. In English, you say on the first day. You don't say on first day. But in Hebrew, you could say b'yom rishon. You don't have to say Harishon. Harishon is called Hey Ayidiyah. It's a prefix which is like the known day, the unique Rishon, something unique, something extraordinary, right? Not a place, but the place. Not a day, but the day. Like Yom is day, Hayom is the day. So Harishon is the Rishon. It could have said L'kachtem lachem bayom Rishon. It says L'kachtem lachem bayom Harishon. Same issue. Why did it say Harishon? You're telling me it can't mean Erev Sukkos. Why? Because it says 7 days. By us, it says hey, Harishon. Here it also says Harishon. Why did it say Harishon? V'su. Okay, very good. You'll see next question. V'su, another question. Hasam, in the pasuk before, the Ksiv it says, Bayom Harishon Shabboson, Uvayoim hashmini Shabbosin. Eimer rishon demeikara mashma. You should say you have to rest erev Sukkos. It says rishon, it says harishon. Right? The pasuk before it says, "B'chamisha asa yom lachodesh hashvi." On the 15th day, you should have a celebration for 7 days. And then it says, "Bayom harishon." What should be harishon here? Celebrate Sukkos for 7 days, but when should you rest? A day before Sukkos. Which obviously is a fantastical and strange suggestion that when don't you do malacha? Erev Sukkos. And then the first day of Sukkos, now the party begins. You're not going to say that Bayom Harishon Shabbos and everyone interprets means the first day of Sukkot is Shabbos. First day of Sukkot is Yom Tov. Bayom Hashmini is the 8th day. So he says here he also says hey Harishon. So you should say and Erev Sukkot, that's when you rest. That's what you're doing here by Pesach. The Gemarah will not let him get away with this. Don't come and say Bayom Harishon means Erev Pesach. Doesn't mean Erev Pesach. It means Pesach. But suddenly here you don't even have such a hava that it means Erev Sukkos. If you're taking it seriously, take it seriously. All these questions we didn't ask on Rabbi Shmuel, because Rabbi Shmuel never had the breitkeit to say that Rishon means Erev. He said it could mean the 14th. But Rabbi Yitzchak said, I have no issues. By me it's Glat. As Rashi said, I don't even need Abaya. Really? If this is the case, you're really getting stuck in a web here. Because by Yom Harishon Shabbosin it says, hey, it says Harishon, just like you're doing Erev Pesach, you should say, just like you do Tashbisu before Pesach, Shabbosin, which is actually similar to Tashbisu, right, is Erev Sukkot. And for the Gemarah, shiny hustle. No, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. You know why? Because over there, the Amar Krat says, Bayom Hashmini Shabbos. It also is the 8th day. Bayom Harishon Shabbos and Bayom Hashmini Shabbos. What does Shmini mean? Mashmini, Shmini dechag, Afrishon, Rishon dechag. Just like the 8th day is the 8th day from when? It says, make a Yom Tov for 7 days. Yeah. On the first day rest, on the 8th day rest. What's the 8th day? After the 7 days. So the first should be the first of the 7 days. You're not going to say the first means before. Because over there, Harishon comes together with Shmini. By us, by Pesach, it just says, Ach b'yom Harishon tashbisu. It doesn't say b'yom Hashmini tashbisu. It says b'yom Harishon tashbisu. You don't have to eliminate chametz on the 8th day of Pesach. There's no time tashbisu on the 8th day of Pesach. The 8th day of Pesach doesn't even exist. Right? After 7 days of Pesach, you don't have to eliminate chametz. You can eat chametz on the 8th day of Pesach, because there's no 8th day. After it's Isru Chag. Again, I'm talking about when Pesach is 1 day in the beginning and at the end. It's only a 7-day holiday. So, but here it says Bayom Hashmini. What are you going to say Bayom Hashmini means? 8 from what? 8 from Erev Sukkos? That doesn't make sense, because it says in the Pasuk, you should have a holiday 7 days. On the first day rest, on the 8th day rest. So let's say I could say the first day doesn't mean the first day, it means the earlier day. And then the 8th day is what? The 8th day is the 8th day of the 7 days. So here, you're forced to say Harishon means part of the unit of the 7 days. Zog the Gemarah, really? If that's the case, let me ask you a question. Harishon Lamali. Back to Harishon. Why does it say Harishon? In other words, you told me now that Bayom Hashmini Shabbosin teaches me that the Rishon means what? The Rishon means part of the 7 days. Granted. Unlike Pesach. So now, how did the Gemarah? So let's see how the Gemarah developed this. You said that B'yom Harishon Tashbisu means Erev Pesach. So the Gemarah says L'kachtem lechem B'yom Harishon doesn't mean Erev Sukkos. So he says why? Because over there it says Shivas Yamim, 7 days. Vayos it also says 7 days. It says yeah, but Vayos it says Harishon. It says over there it also says Harishon, right? Also it says B'yom Harishon Shabbosin. So Bayom Harishon Shabbosin, I answered that what? It says Bayom Hashmini Shabbosin. Okay? So since it's Bayom Hashmini Shabbosin, so Rishon is also Rishon L'chag. But now we come back to the question, Harishon Lamali. Why does it say then Harishon, since it doesn't mean Erev Sukkos? It means the first day of Sukkos. So why does it say Harishon? You're right, it means the first day of Sukkos, I agree. But you explained to me that by us it says Harishon. Why does it say over there Harishon? And it's also a question by Lulav. Why does it say L'kachtem lechem Bayom Harishon by Lulav when it doesn't mean Erev Sukkos? It means the first day of Sukkos. So he says the answer is L'miyutei Chol Shalmayit. The Hey excludes Chol Hamayit. In other words, it says Bayom Harishon Shabbosin on the first day and not the second day, third day, fourth day, fifth day, sixth day, seventh day. Because that's Chol HaMoed. That's why it says hey. The same is true by lulav. Ulakachtem lechem by Yom Harishon min HaTorah. You only have to shake the lulav when? The first day of Sukkot. After the destruction of the second Beis Hamikdash, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai instituted that we shake the lulav for 7 days of Sukkot, because in the Beis Hamikdash they used to shake it for 7 days. Because it says Ulakachtem lechem by Yom Harishon creates hadar. Only on the first day of Sukkot do you have to shake a lulav. Later the passage says, "Smachtem lefnei Hashem alekechem shivas yamim." Before God, you do it for 7 days. In the Beis Hamikdash, they used to shake lulav for 7 days. Anywhere outside of it, they only shook lulav on the first day. When the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, this is Min HaTorah. The first day is Min HaTorah. So when we shake lulav, lefnei Hashem, it's a doiraisa. But lefnei Hashem means by the Beis Hamikdash, the presence of the Shechina. No. So after the Churban Beis Hamikdash, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai instituted, that we shake lulav 7 days, Zeichel HaMikdash. That's why there's many halachas that differ from the first day of Sukkot to the second day of Sukkot in terms of lulav and esrog. Because the first day is biblical, and the second day is only rabbinic, right? In the Beis Hamikdash, all 7 days were biblical. So therefore it says, L'kachtem lechem b'yom harishon l'miyute chayla shalmayit. Not take on the first day, but take on the first day, meaning only the first day. By Yom Harishon Shabbosin, only the first day and the 8th day that you have to rest. Because Chol HaMoed, you don't have to. That's why it says hey. So it justifies the hey. So now it should be clear at this point. By us, it says Ach b'Yom Harishon Tashbisu. What's Harishon? The day before Pesach. It says 7 days you should eat matzah, but it says Harishon, not Rishon. By Lulav. It also says, right? It also says Harishon. It says over there it's different. Why is it different? Because over there it excludes Chol HaMoed. And because it says in the pasuk 7 days of Sukkot, Shmachtem Shivas Yamim, just like 7 days means 7 days, so Yom Rishon means the first of the 7 days. It says hey, to teach me Chol HaMoed. Where by me it doesn't say Ach b'Yom Rishon to teach me that you don't do Tashbisu. You don't do Tashbisu Chol HaMoed. There's 1 day of Tashbisu. The same is true with Shmini Atzeres and Sukkot. It says Bayom Harishon Shabbosin or Bayom Hashmini Shabbosin. So I say Rishon can't mean Erev Sukkot. It means the first day of Sukkot, just like Shmini means the 8th day. It says a hey. What's the idea of the hey? L'miyut chayla shalmayit, to exclude Chol HaMoed. So it seems fine. Frag the Gemarah, 1 second. Chayla shalmayit mirishon Shmini nafka. What do you need a hey for that? It says on the first day you should rest, on the 8th day you should rest. That means 1 and 8, not middle. So the Gemarah says, it's terich. No, you need a hay. Why do you need a hay? Because I would think, the cost of Rachmanu ubayoy mashmini, since it says, and on the 8th day you should rest, vav meisif al inyan rishon. We know that in Hebrew grammar, whenever there's a vav as a prefix to a word, it's connecting. It's like in English and. Vav is and, right? It's connecting to the previous. It's moisif. It's an addition to the first theme that's before. So when it says, Bayoim Harishon Shabbosin, it could have said, Bayoim Hashmini Shabbosin. It says, U Bayoim Hashmini. And on the 8th day. So it may seem that what? And on the 8th day. The Shabbosin is a continuation from before. So I would think, Afilu b'chayla shalmayit, even on Chol HaMoed, I'm not allowed to work. Biblically, kamash malon. That's why the pasuk has to put in the hey. Bayoim harishon Shabbosin, bayoim hashmini. That even though it says the vav, it means the first and the 8th. Exclusively, other days don't have the inyan of Chol HaMoed. By the way, the same thing is by Lulav. By Lulav it says, Usmachtem lefnei Hashem alekechem shivas yamim. And you should celebrate before God 7 days. I would think the and is, there's somebody else who celebrates for 7 days. And that is everybody else as well. So because there is a vav by Usmachtem, I might think that Chol HaMoed also has the mitzvah of Lulav, and therefore it has to say, Ulekachtem lachem bayoim Harishon, to teach me that outside of the Beis Hamikdash, the obligation is only on the first day. Don't write a vav and you won't need a hey. Don't write ubayoim hashmini, so you won't have to say harishon or hashmini. Don't write usmachtem, so you won't have to say harishon. Visu awesome. Now let me ask you one more question, which will eliminate your whole theory, and this is going to be the last question, which is going to be a refutation, and that is, take a look at an earlier pasuk. What's the earlier pasuk? The earlier pasuk is, take a look in Pasuk Zayin, page 354. Shema Yischav Gimel, Pasuk Zayin. Exodus 23, verse 7. We're going now from Sukkot to Pesach, which is our holiday. So let's see what it says here. Okay? B'chodesh harish Pasuk Hey. B'chodesh harishon b'arba'asar l'chodesh bein ha'arbayim Pesach l'Hashem. B'chamisha asar yom l'chodesh hazeh chag ha'matzos l'Hashem shivas yom matzos techelu. Yeah. On the 14th, you have a Pesach. On the 15th, start 7 days to eat matzah. Now, Pasuk Zayin. B'yom harishon mikra kodesh yilachem kol melechas avodah lo yisasu. After you say to eat matzahs for 7 days, you use exactly the same word. B'yom harishon is a holy day, don't do any malacha. Now, what do you say here? Frag the Gemarah v'su. Hasam, over there, the ksiv b'yom harishon mikra kodesh yilachem. And you don't need a hey there to exclude chol hamoyed. Why? Because the next pasuk says, V'kraftem ishul Hashem shivas yamim b'yoyim hashvi mikra kodesh. Doesn't say b'yoyim hashvi mikra kodesh. So you don't need a hey to exclude chol hamoyed. And what do we see? It says harishon. No, rishon demeikara mashma. You should say here conclusively that erev Pesach you're not allowed to do any melacha min haTorah, exactly like you did by Tashbisu. This is the exact same setup, and here you don't have any excuses. In other words, by Sukkot, not working on Sukkot, you justify the hay. Why? To exclude Chol HaMoed. Only the first day. The first means first, not Erev. How do I know it means first? Because it says in the same pasuk, 8. The 8th is the 8th of the 7th. The first is the first of the 7th. It says hey, which is your source by us that Tashbisu means Erev Pesach. Because even though it says 7 days you should eat matzah, but Harishon is before. You're right. Itaka says hey, but over there you need the hay. Why do you need the hay? To exclude Chol HaMoed. By Lulav, it says Bayoim Harishon. You said it doesn't mean Erev Sukkos, it means Sukkos. Because it says in the same pasuk 7 days. By us also. By us it said hey. Over there it also says hey. To exclude Chol HaMoed. To exclude Chol HaMoed. So the first problem we have is you don't have to exclude Chol HaMoed because it says 1 and 8. So we said, but it says a Vav. Don't write the Vav, don't write the Hey. But let's say you could give me a reason why it had to say a Vav, and therefore it has to say a Hey. Because once you have a Vav, you can have an erroneous interpretation, so you need a Hey. Zolzai. But now you have this new pasuk. Here you're really stuck. Because it says, eat matzahs for 7 days, and Bayoim Harishon don't do work. According to Reb Nachum Bar Yitzchak, what should that Bayoim Harishon mean? Erev Pesach. And here you don't have any excuses. It doesn't say Bayoim Rishon, it says Bayoim Harishon. You can't tell me it excludes Chol HaMoed, because there's no reason to think Chol HaMoed you have to work, because it doesn't say Bayoim Hashvi. It says Bayoim Hashvi. So you have no excuse here. So I don't need Harishon. So why does it say Harishon? To teach me Erev Pesach. You're not allowed to do work. Nobody ever says that. So when it comes to Tashbisu, exactly the same structure, you decided it's Erev Pesach. Here you decided it's the first day of Pesach. And therefore there's a major problem here with all of these issues. How can Reb Nachum Bar Yitzchak justifiably say this? How can he do this? If you really have such a shit in Rishon, you have to take it through the whole Chumash. Right? And in all of these cases, we proved maybe it could work and say that over there Rishon means something else, even though it says Harishon, but here it doesn't work. So the Gemarah answers, let's just see Rashi. Harishon Adam Tivoled Hakoidim LaAdam Harishon Eladata Hachanami Haksiv B'Haikra Gufe Shivas Yamim Udroish Nami Rishon Dum Yedeshvi Hasam Nami Gabei Lulav Heida Harishon Lamali Mirishon Ushmini Nafka Midiksiv Bano Shabbasan Miklal Deinach Lav Shabbasan Inu Al Inyan Rishon Al Yamim Hakdumim Loi Dahainu Chayla Shalmayed Loi Lichter Rachmana Loi Vav the Mashma Ribuya the Su Itzrich Helamiyah. Don't give me a Vav and you won't have to give me a Hey. So let's summarize the structure of these questions, okay? It seems complicated and confusing. It's not so complicated, not so confusing. You just have to get used to the language and the thinking a little bit. Reb Nachum Bar Yitzchak established that when it says Rishon, it means Erev. It doesn't mean the first day, it means the day prior. And he brought a proof from the book of Job, from the book of Eiv. So the Gemarah says, if so, by Lulav, it says, L'kachtam l'chem bayom, Harishon, you should say it means Erev Sukkos. So he says, no, because in the same verse it says, you should rejoice for 7 days. In other words, you're talking about a unit of 7 days. Obviously, that unit begins on the 15th day of Sukkot, it says clearly, and continues for 7 days. So just like the 7 days, when you say number 7, you mean number 7 of the 7 days. When you say Rishon in that verse, you mean part of that unit. And we can't say the 7 begins with the day before. That wouldn't make sense, as we explained before. And therefore, over there you have to say Rishon means the first day. So Gemarah says here, it also says 7 days you should eat matzahs. And nonetheless, you're talking about Yom Rishon comes first. So what did we answer? We answered because over here it says ahei, ach b'yom harishon, not ach b'yom rishon, means you're basically taking it out of the ordinary. It's like the day before. It's not the first day. It could have just said on the first day, not on the first day. Ach b'yom harishon, which in Hebrew means it's emphasized in a unique fashion. He says, but over there it also says hey. Over there it also says, right? Over there it also says hey. So you have the same issue. Another problem is it says Bayom Harishon Shabbosin or Bayom Hashmini Shabbosin. Over there you should also say it means Erev Sukkos. So over there he says the same thing. It says Bayom Hashmini, and we all know what the 8th day means. So the first day is the first day of the 8th day, not the day before, right? But he says, but you still have a problem because it says Harishon, right? Again, it says Harishon by Lulav and Harishon over there. So he says, I don't have a problem because it excludes Chol Hamayit, so I settled it. Lulav excludes Chol Hamayit, Shabbosin excludes Chol Hamayit. You don't need a hey for that because you could learn it from the words themselves, first and 8th. He says, but there's a vav. Because a vav, you have to put in a hey. He says, don't write the vav and don't write the hey, which is one question, which is unsettled. And the big question is, even if you want to answer that there's some reason we need the vav and therefore we need the hey, by Pesach, we have absolutely no way of doing this. By Pesach, it says, Bayom Harishon Mikra Kodesh. It didn't have to say a hey. We should interpret it that it means Erev Pesach. 7 days you should eat matzah, and on the day before, you should not do melacha. It says 7 days. It's exactly what it says by us too. Shivas Yom Matzahs, and nonetheless, Bayom Harishon means the day before, because it says hey. So the Gemarah concedes that this is a serious problem. And the way he answers it is, and this is what we'll finish here, he says, Ella, rather. And this is quite interesting because you see here how in the world of Talmud, the world of Halacha, and the world of Agoda are really not completely two different universes, but they're deeply intertwined. Because you're being very technical here with the text, and then suddenly the Gemarah introduces a thought from a completely different planet, so to speak, or I should say from a different wavelength. Ella, the truth is, Hani Shloisha Rishon, all these 3 Rishons that we just addressed, the Rishon of Pesach in Pasuk Zayin, the Rishon of Sukkos, Ubayom HaRishon Shabbosin, and the Rishon of Lulav, these 3 Rishons that we addressed, were not written in order to describe these mitzvahs themselves. The Torah had a reason to use the word Rishon in all these 3 situations. In other words, you're right when it says Harishon, when it says Ulakachtam Lechem Bayom HaRishon, Reb Nachman Yitzchak is right. It means Erev Pesach. You have all these Rishons, and no one is ever giving this interpretation. It's because of a particular teaching. And this teaching said that there was a special reason that the Torah used the word Rishon by these 3 situations, by these 3 mitzvahs, for a particular reason. Not to teach you about the time itself. The time itself, I would interpret Erev. You're right. But there is a unique reason for Rishon here. And therefore, the regular Rishon that takes me to Erev would not apply here, because there's a particular reason why in these 3 places he wants to use the word Rishon. As Rashi puts it, Ella, Hani Shloishi Rishon, the Ksiv b'Mikra Kodesh de Pesach, Mikra Kodesh de Sukkos, o Mitzvahs Lulav, Loi Susav le Reb Nachman. It's not a refutation to Reb Nachman. The Hani Rishon de Ksiv bu Lav lemashmo sayu ka'asu. Because when it says these times Rishon, it's not to give us the time frame, the exact accurate time frame of these mitzvahs. Even though, of course, we're going to interpret here Rishon as the first. Ela Shma ba'almuhu de nikru Rishon k'detanan debei Rabbi Shmuel. It's the name. He wants to use the word Rishon, as Rabbi Shmuel is going to explain why. So this is a gewaldige chiddush, that these three mentions of Rishon were not written to teach only the time frame. If it was written only for the time frame, then I would take this Rishon and interpret it, as Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak says, in the places where it's appropriate, as Erev Sukkot or Erev Pesach. But these were used as a name. I want to identify these mitzvahs with the name Rishon, and therefore Rab Nachman bar Yitzchak's truth is maintained. Maybe to put it a little differently, is we're struggling with the hay, right? With the hay Arish. By us it says Harishain, so it means Erev Pesach. In these places it also says Harishain. So he says over there it's a unique situation, because you want to learn something out. In all those three mitzvahs it says Harishain, by Lulav, by Shabbosin, and by Pesach, because you want to say that there's something here connected to Rishon and not Erev. And that's why it doesn't give room for this interpretation. Where by us, we're left with Harishain, without this limud, and therefore we go to Erev Pesach. What is this? This is to teach us what was taught in the yeshiva of Rabbi Yishmael, as we will explain, and therefore we have no room to say that these mitzvahs begin Erev Yom Tif, because the Rishon is already used up, and therefore there's no question on Rav Nachman. Tana de Rabbi Yishmael taught, B'schar shloisha Rishon, zachol shloisha Rishon. As a reward for the three Rishons, the Jewish people merited three Rishons. The three Rishons are what? Pesach, not doing malacha, shaking lulav, and not doing malacha on Sukkot. Those are the three Rishons that we challenge Rav Nachman from. Those Rishons, the Torah uses the word Rishon and Harishon for something special. To teach me that there are other three Rishons that are connected with these Rishons. Because of these three Rishons, they got three other Rishons. What are we talking about? Lahachri zarish al Esav. To cut off the descendants of Esav. Lebinyan Beis HaMikdash, to the construction of the Beis HaMikdash, ulishmoy shel Mashiach, and the name of Mashiach. What's the connection? Lahachri zarish al Esav diksiv. How is Esav identified in Chumash Parshas told us? Vayetze harishin admoini kule kaderesei. The first child emerged red, fully covered by hair, and they named him Esav. That's Harishon. Lebinyan Beis HaMikdash diksiv, the pasuk in Yirmiyah Yud Zayin, Kisei kavod maroi meirishon mekoy mikdashenu. The throne of glory which is exalted, meirishon, from Rishon, the place of our Beis HaMikdash. Kisei kavod marim meirishon. This kisei is from Rishon, the place of our Mikdash. Ulishmoy shel Mashiach, diksiv, the pasuk says in Yeshaya, Rishon l'tzion hine hinam u'Yerushalayim avaser etin. Rishon l'tzion means the first one to Tzion, the first one to come to Tzion and declare to Tzion, to Zion, Hine hinam, here they are. Hinam means they are. Hine means here. Hine hinam, here they are. Rishon l'tzion is a term for Mashiach. He is Rishon, the first, the leader, like the head of Tzion. Of Tzion, so the Rishon who's going to come to Tzion and declare, Hine hinam, here are your children, here is Klal Yisrael, Mashiach comes. He's also Rishon. So Esav is called Rishon, Beis HaMikdash is called Rishon, and Mashiach is called Rishon, Rishon l'tzion. These three experiences of the Jewish people, to be able to cut down Esav's descendants, those who oppress and want to destroy the Jewish people, the source of real anti-Semitism, and the second, the Beis HaMikdash, and the third, the name of Mashiach, is because of the three Rishons. So that's why the Torah uses over there, L'kachtem lachem bayoim harishon, bayoim harishon shabbosin, ubayoim harishon mikra kodesh. What is it? It's for unique limud. And that is, this is associated with three other Rishons, Esav, the Beis HaMikdash, and Mashiach, which are going to come because you observe these three Rishons. And that's why it says Harishon. That's how you can explain it. It says Harishon and all things. These are special Rishons. And therefore, Reb Nachman bar Yitzchak says, from our Harishon, you learn out it's Erev Pesach. Here it doesn't apply because this is taken already for the limud of Rabbi Yishmael. Let's see what Rashi says. B'schar gimel Rishon, Shvisas haregel de Pesach, resting on the Yom Tov of Pesach. Shvisas haregel de Chag, resting on Sukkot, celebrating Sukkot. Unetilas lulav, shenikru rishonim, they're called rishonim. Zachul shloisha rishon, they were zoichet to these three rishons. Which one is for which? So the Gemarah doesn't say clearly. I saw that the Marsha says, It's a good question. So the Marsha says, very interesting Marsha. You don't have a Marsha on the back of your Gemaras, right? Okay, if you have a thicker Gemara, you want to look in the Marsha, I'll just read what the Marsha says very briefly. Not all the words, just the concept of what he says. He says that Pesach, why are we celebrating Pesach? Because we're celebrating the fact that the Jewish people were enslaved from those who wanted to destroy them and oppress them. And God judged those who wanted to destroy the Jewish people and saved them. He says the celebration of that faith and that belief, that's ultimately going to liberate the Jewish people from their eternal oppressors throughout Jewish history, not eternal, but for their oppressors throughout Jewish history, which are the descendants of Esav, who are enslaving us like Pare, and he will also be judged. We say, B'nissen nigalu, B'nissen asidim li'izgal, which is why we eliminate also chametz on Pesach, which represents the koyach of Sitra Achra, the koyach of the Yetzer Hara, the koyach of the ego, the koyach of Esav, which is going to be cut down during the time of the Geula. He says, why do we celebrate Sukkot? Sukkot we celebrate because the Sukkot Haishafti is B'nai Yisrael. God protected the Jewish people with the Ananei HaKavod, with the clouds of glory that encompassed them, which is like the concept of the Beis HaMikdash, the Shechina encompassing the Jewish people and the Shechina dwelling among them. So that's why the Schus of Sukkot, they're going to celebrate the Beis HaMikdash. Then he says, Lulav. Lulav is about Simcha. Usmachtem lefnei Hashem Elokeichem Shivas Yamim. Lulav is about the celebration. So he says, because of that, they're going to be Zoicha for Mashiach. Why does the Gemarah say Lishmoy Shal Mashiach? The Gemarah should have said they're going to be Zoicha to cut Esav, to the Beis HaMikdash, and to Mashiach. With the name of Mashiach, it has to do with the name. It has to do with Mashiach. So the Marsha says, here you see what the Gemarah means. Why? So he says something very interesting. I quote the Marsha now. He says, Diktik loymar Lishmoy Shal Mashiach. Why? Because the Gemarah says in Sanhedrin, Shmoy Menachem. The Gemarah says in Masechah Sanhedrin that the name of Mashiach is Menachem. What's Menachem? Menachem means Shehu Yenachamenu v'Yisamchenu. Menachem means he will comfort us and bring us joy. Samchenu kimoisi nisanu. Rejoice, give us joy. We say in Tehillim, Shabbos morning, Tehillim Kapitel Tzadik. Samchenu kimoisi nisanu. Give us joy like the days you have afflicted us. It's the name of Mashiach. The name of Mashiach represents Menachem, the comfort, the solace, the simcha, the soothing that Mashiach is going to bring. That's why, b'schus of the simcha of the lulav, is Yizkul Lishmoy Shel Mashiach, the name of Mashiach, which is Menachem, and he says, Ken Yiratzim Emeinu B'Yameinu Amen Sela. I saw that so that's the Marsha's association of the three. Pesach is connected to Lahachris Zayrei Shel Esav. Sukkos, ki besukkos Haishafti is connected to the Beis HaMikdash. We also say in Tehillim Vayihi b'shalem sukkoi umay nasei b'tzion. His residence in Tzion is called a sukkah, and Shmoy Shal Mashiach is connected to the simcha of Lulav. I saw the Chaim Sofer says quite a vart, what you may call a very spiritual vart, and he says like this, which really answers another question. It should have been b'schus of the simcha of Sukkot, not only the lulav of Sukkot. In other words, lulav is part of simcha, but there's also a mitzvah v'samachta b'chagecha. That would be even closer. So the Chaim Sofer adds a very beautiful vart, and he says that it's known that the lulav and the esrog and the hadas and the harava by Yom Harishon represents the unity of all the Jewish people, right? Because the esrog has a taste and a flavor and a smell, and the hadas has a smell but no taste. And the lulav has a taste because there are dates, but there's no smell, and the arava lacks everything. So the Medrash says it's the combination of all types of Jews who have a tam and a reach, and don't have a tam and don't have a reach, and have either a tam or no reach, or only a reach and no tam, etc. And they come together, v'ya'asu chulam aguda echas. We do igud, lulav tzarech egud, we tie them together. So the Chaim Sofer says it really represents that all the Jewish people are one. V'chol nefesh Yisrael achasi. The soul of Yisrael is really one nefesh. It's really united. It's not differentiated. V'kulam nikrayim b'shmoy shel Mashiach. And all of them are defined by the name of Mashiach. In other words, Mashiach represents the collective oneness of Klal Yisrael. The name of Mashiach represents the unity of the Jewish people. Mashiach represents the core essence of the Jewish people. V'zeu hinei heinam. That's why when Mashiach comes, he's going to say, Hine heinam, shehu heim veheim he. Hine heinam doesn't only mean they're here. It means Hine heinam, he is them, and they are him. When the Jewish people become one, which represents lulav and esrig, what's pshat? In every Jew there's a nakuda of Mashiach. The Moirinayim also says this. In every Jew there's a nakuda of Mashiach. What's this nakuda of Mashiach? It's the nakuda that makes him one with another Jew. It's the core soul in which all Jews are one. So when every Jew reveals the nitzitz of Mashiach in him, so together you have what we call the collective Mashiach. The collective Mashiach is really all the nitzutzes of all the Jews together creates one general Mashiach in which they're redeemed. It's the consciousness of redemption that comes from their unity. So Meli says through Lulav, Dafka through Lulav, the unity of Lulav and Esrik, that is the union of Shmoy Shel Mashiach. That's when the Jewish people assume the name of Mashiach, because Mashiach represents the Yechidah HaKlolis, the deepest part of all the Jewish people, which is why we could come together. That's the Shmoy Shel Mashiach. That's how the Chaim Sofer interprets it. I'll call upon him. So it's interesting. This is how the Gemarah explains Reb Nachman, that the Rishon from all these other places is completely not a problem, and therefore he retains his original idea that Ach B'Yom HaRishon is Meikara Mashma, because here it says HaRishon, and it means Erev Pesach. Okay. Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I didn't realize. Yeah, I just said. We're going to have a shir tomorrow, Beis Hashem. Tomorrow, regular time, 8:30. Yes, so the Marsha says that Pesach is connected to Esav because the Jewish people were liberated from oppression. So they're going to be liberated by the Geula from Zara Shel Esav, their oppression. That's the Shvis of Pesach, Bayom HaRishon Mikra Kodesh in Pasuk Zayin, Perek of Gimel Pasuk Zayin. Then you have Bayom HaRishon Shabbosin, which is by Sukkos. Bayom HaRishon Shabbosin, Bayom HaShmini Shabbosin. So that goes to what? That's the Beis HaMikdash. Because of that, they'll be Zech with the Beis HaMikdash Pasuk Lametes. Ulekachtem Lechem Bayom HaRishon creates Hadar, which is the mitzvah of Lulav. Because of that, they'll be Zech L'Shmoy Shel Mashiach. So he says, why Shmoy Shel Mashiach? Be Zech to Mashiach. So the point is the Shmoy of Mashiach, the Simcha of Mashiach. Menachem Shmoy. That is going to be Menachem Yidden. Mesameach Yidden. Samcheinu K'mois Nisano. So the Chaim Sofer is Moisef, that it's connected particularly to Lulav and Esrog, because it comes out from the unity of the Jewish people. The unity of the Jewish people, that's the B'chin of Mashiach. Mashiach basically embodies Knesset Yisrael as one. The person of Mashiach is somebody who embodies Gans Klal Yisrael. When you say when you think about what's the concept of Mashiach, what type of person is Mashiach? Mashiach is somebody that in him the whole Klal Yisrael lives. There's no such a thing. A Jew doesn't belong to me. This Jew is not for me. He's not part of my kreis. He's not part of my thing. If it's that Nikud, it's already not Mashiach, right? Just like the head of a body. How do you know it's the brain? The brain doesn't say, oh, these toes, I don't like them. Let's cut them off. If you're a brain, the whole body belongs to you. The union of Mashiach is somebody who embodies Gans Knesset Yisrael, because everybody is one. He feels that oneness. He recognizes that oneness. So he says that's what Lulav and Esrog is. Melam said Lulav and Esrog, Yizkul Shmoy Shel Mashiach, which is really who they are. Mashiach is a reflection of Knesset Yisrael. It's not something separate. As I said, the Heilig Chaim Sofer. Moirinayim, Parshas Chukos is Masbedis.
Hey, by each of those HaRishon, does that enable this learning out?
That's why I say you can learn the Gemarah in two ways. From Rashi, it's mashma that it's not the haze. That the fact that it says Rishon in all those places is not really for time as much as it is to teach you this lesson. Yes, we're going to say Rishon means first because that's the literal interpretation. So we say it means first. It says Rishon. You should say it's Erev, right? Yeah. So Rashi says no. Over there, it's not reserved for that. It's reserved for this type of limud. And b'meila you're going to say Rishon means first automatically. But maybe there's also a way, the Sfasema says, that it's actually HaRishon. That's the pshat. In all these three places it says HaRishon. We wanted to say that HaRishon means Erev. So he says the Hey in these places is teaching me this limud. The Hey in these places is teaching me the connection to these three. So it's not superfluous. But by Tashbisu, the Hey is, I don't need the Hey for this, because Tashbisu is not part of this equation, right?
Yeah. But in other words, the Hey is already used up.
The Hey is used up. Tosfos asks a gewaldige question. Tosfos says, why don't you put Tashbisu in this trio? Why are you discriminating against Tashbisu? Gewaldige question. You're putting in Lulav, yeah? Resting on Sukkot, resting on Pesach. Why don't you put in Tashbisu and take out one of those? Who decided that? Gewaldige question, yeah. And say Tashbisu means the first day of Pesach.
Different place in the
Yeah. So the truth is that these three are all in the same parsha. They're all in the parsha of Mikra Kodesh. They're all in the parsha of the Yamim Tovim. So when you have to choose a group, you're going to choose this because it's three. This is Parshas Beis, Shmois, right? It makes sense. In other words, you're going to choose a trio connected to La'asid Lavei, cutting down Zarish Aleisov and Beis Hamidrash and Mashiach. You're going to choose the unit of Parshas Emor. Now it's interesting. These are not the only three times it says Rishon or Harisha. But there's no other times outside of these mitzvahs, so that's why they're all counted as one.
Now, once you use the hay already for one, that's it.
It's taken. It's used up. If the hay is used up for these three things, you can't use the hay for Erev Pesach. That's one way of learning it. But from Rashi, it's mashma that he just learns that the whole Rishon, you can't learn. Rishon may kara mashma. When you really analyze Rishon, it means before. But here it says Rishon for a particular reason. Because it says Rishon for a particular reason, so therefore, we maintain the Rishon as first. We maintain the Rishon as first.
Saying on the Torah of Shmuel, that's like Monsey. Now we're going to say for different reasons. So I mean that's why he said Monsey.
That's a good question. The Rabbi Shmuel before said Motzinu Yudalit Shenikra Rishon.
Maybe that's why he says Monsey, because he ends off with something else.
You're saying because the same Rabbi Shmuel also said Rishon could mean other things. Rishon could mean other things. The same Rabbi Shmuel said before. And basically Rabbi Nachman Bar Yitzchak is using Rabbi Shmuel also for his thing.
He is, yeah.
He's using Rabbi Shmuel for his thing also. Yeah, that's the only way you could justify it. You'll say, why don't you just say the pshat of Rishon is Erev, and therefore it can mean over there too, if you don't say the pshat of the hay? The word of the Rishon means first, but if you want to look into it, it could mean Erev. But here you don't because it's already used. Rishon the Meikara Mashma. Rishon the Meikara Mashma. You can have the Mashmos of Rishon. The Mashmos of Rishon. Huh?
It's interesting like how the
The three Rishons. Huh?
This is
You want to know how the Chazal did that? Well, they saw the whole Tanakh. Esav is called Harishon. Samikdash is called Rishon. Mashiach is called Rishon. Rishon L'tzia. Well, you have to understand that the whole Torah is holistic. It's like an organism. A good doctor doesn't just look at the nose, right? He sees the whole picture. So when he sees three Rishons, Esav, Beis Hamikdash, Mashiach, it says three times Rishon by these Yamim Tovim. It says Rishons by these three. So he right away sees an association between the two. The beschar of this, they'll be zeich of this. In other words, when Jews celebrate, yeah, it's a chelik of Moshe's Shir. Very good. He said it's part of Moshe Rabbeinu's Shir. There's also a very powerful message here. In other words, when Jews celebrate Yom Tov today, they're not just celebrating the past; they're also celebrating the future. There's a profound message, because sometimes Jews are celebrating Pesach, Shavuos, Pesach, Sukkot, Lulav in difficult situations. There was no freedom.
So you're saying that that's all three is the future.
So Pesach and Sukkot, you're not just celebrating the past, good things that happened. That's true. We're also celebrating the future. Somebody once said the difference of Jewish history and all other history is basically recording the past, right? And defining the present based on the past. Jewish history is defining the present based on the future. There's a future, and the present fits into the context of the future. They never took Golus so seriously as an end in and of itself. They defined Golus as a means to Geula. So the present is defined by the future, and the past too is defined by the future. So it's a unique type of history, where past and present are basically predicted by the future, if you wish. So here you see that the whole concept of the celebration of Pesach and Sukkot is not just good things happen to the Jewish people. It's also the future of the world, the future of civilization. It's a celebration of the future as well, not just of the past.
Also, it's actually good to the snap of the rice oil. So
Yeah,
he knew the
exactly.
Future, so
Yeah,
he knew
100%.
the past as well.
The Torah is the blueprint for the world, yeah. So it's always a celebration of past and present and future. And sometimes the present could be challenging, but because there's a past and there's a future, it gives new context and meaning and vitality and purpose to the present. So I think Rabbi Shmuel is not just saying a word, you do this, you'll get a schar. He's not just saying, you'll do this, you'll get a reward. He's explaining a deeper meaning in the entire celebration. Not just a celebration of past, it's a celebration of future. We celebrate the future in the present. And we see the past, not only as the past, but as the beginning of the future. Okay.
This class is brought to you by theyeshiva.net. Please help us continue the classes. Make even a small contribution at www.theyeshiva.net/donate.